Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The night that will forever change the lives of the Abbotts, Claire, and all of Genoa City begins with a silence so sharp it feels like the world is holding its breath, waiting, dreading, what is about to unfold. Kyle Abbott, already suspicious of Holden's increasingly erratic behavior, follows him to the abandoned service road near Chancellor Park, convinced that something is off, that Holden's calm smile is nothing more than a mask stretched over a darkness no one has dared to uncover. Kyle's instincts have been screaming for hours, and as he tracks Holden deeper into the shadowy clearing, he feels the tension in the air thicken like a storm waiting to explode. Claire walks several yards behind them, breath tight, heart pounding, terrified of what she'll find but knowing she can't let Kyle confront Holden alone. She had tried warning Kyle earlier, telling him that Holden's sudden obsession with her, his strange questions, his coded comments about Kyle being in the way, all pointed to something far more sinister than jealousy. But Kyle, torn between protecting Claire and exposing Holden, insisted on facing him head-on. Now, as the three of them find themselves swallowed by darkness, the truth unveils itself with the sharpness of a blade. Holden turned slowly, the moon catching the edges of his face, twisting his features into something monstrous, something inhuman. Gone is the charming facade he showed Claire, the soft-spoken sensitivity, the polite conversations. In its place is a cold, feral stare, one that makes Claire's blood run cold and sends a chill through Kyle's spine. "You just couldn't leave it alone," Holden growls, his voice lower than Claire has ever heard it. Kyle steps forward anyway, jaw clenched, refusing to back down even as instinct tells him to run. "Claire deserves to know the truth," Kyle says, and his voice shakes only slightly. "About who you are. About what you've done." Holden gives a twisted smile, almost proud, almost amused. "Oh, you think you know me," he whispers, stepping closer, each footstep deliberate. "But you have no idea what I've had to do to survive. What I've had to be." Before Claire can even gasp, before Kyle can fully process the shift in Holden's stance, it happens in a flash, the glint of metal slicing through the night, and then the horrifying sound of a blade plunging deep into flesh. Kyle stumbles, eyes widening, breath trapped inside his lungs as he looks down and sees Holden's knife buried in his abdomen. Claire screams, a sound ripped from the deepest part of her soul. Kyle collapses to his knees, hands instinctively pressing against the wound as blood gushes through his fingers, pooling beneath him. Holden steps back with a slow exhale, watching Kyle bleed with a disturbing calmness in his expression, as though he has been waiting for this moment, craving it, needing it. Claire rushes to Kyle, dropping beside him, trembling violently as she tries to stop the bleeding. "No, no, Kyle, stay with me, please," she cries, her voice shaking uncontrollably. Kyle tries to speak, but the blood filling his throat makes it nearly impossible. He's fading fast, each breath weaker than the last. Claire looks at Holden with pure horror, realizing she never knew him at all, never understood that the man she thought was damaged and misunderstood was in fact a predator hiding behind a carefully constructed mask. Holden's entire demeanor shifts. His disgust, his frustration, his long-buried rage erupt as he steps forward with a chilling confession. "You want the truth, Claire," he says. "Fine. Kyle was always in the way. You were mine. You were supposed to choose me. But he kept pulling you back, didn't he? He kept reminding you who you belonged to." Claire's lips tremble as she tries to shield Kyle with her own body. "You're sick," she whispers. "You're not the man I thought." "No," Holden interrupts coldly. "I'm the man you refuse to see." Claire's tears spill freely as she watches Kyle struggle to stay conscious, trying desperately to speak. She leans down, brushing his hair back, begging him not to leave her. Kyle looks up at her with pain-filled eyes, knowing time is running thin. Blood seeps into the ground, and his hands become cold. His breaths grow shorter. Claire sobs harder, her hands soaked with his blood. Holden watches them with a mix of jealousy and disdain. "He was weak," Holden sneers. "He never deserved you. He never truly appreciated you." Claire shakes her head, horrified. "You did this out of jealousy?" she cries. "You killed him because he loved me?" Holden's jaw tightens. "No. I killed him because he got in the way of what was supposed to be mine." Claire screams for help, her voice echoing across the empty road, but no one comes, not yet. Kyle's grip tightens weakly around Claire's wrist, and she immediately lowers herself closer, desperate for anything he wants to say. His breathing is labored, his voice barely a rasp. Claire whispers, "Kyle, I'm here. I'm right here. Please don't leave me." And then, his lips move. Slowly. Painfully. But he forces the words out anyway, even as blood trickles from the corner of his mouth. His final 5 words. The last breath of truth he can give her. "Claire. I love you, always." Claire collapses against him, sobbing uncontrollably as those 5 words carve themselves into her heart forever. Kyle's body slackens in her arms, his chest stilling, his eyes glazing over. Claire screams his name, over and over, her voice breaking with each cry. Holden watches with a twisted sense of victory, but there is also fear, panic, because Kyle's final declaration, spoken in front of Claire, destroys whatever illusion Holden believed he had. Claire turns toward Holden slowly, fury and grief burning through her. "You killed him," she sobs. "You murdered him because you couldn't stand that he loved me." Holden steps back, realizing her voice has changed. She isn't just heartbroken, she's furious. She's unafraid. She's done letting him manipulate her. And then, sirens. Red and blue lights burst through the trees. Someone must have heard Claire's screams. Holden freezes like an animal cornered. Claire stands, trembling, but she refuses to move away from Kyle's body. Holden bolts toward the woods, but officers swarm the area faster than he expected. Flashlights slice through the darkness. Officers shout commands. "Stop. Hands in the air." Holden runs, but it's too late. 2 officers tackle him from behind, slamming him into the dirt. He struggles, screams, denies, but the truth is everywhere. Kyle's blood on his hands. The knife still in the grass. Claire's sobs echoing through the night. "You don't understand." Holden shouts, thrashing beneath the officer's weight as they force his arms behind him. "She was mine. He stole her from me. I had to do it." His confession only seals his fate. Claire watches, shaking violently, arms wrapped around herself, her eyes swollen with tears. She almost can't recognize Holden anymore. He isn't the man she knew. He isn't the man she thought she could help. He is a killer, nothing more. Police drag Holden back toward the patrol car. He snaps, he screams, he rants about destiny and fate and betrayal, but no one listens, not anymore. His mask has shattered. His true identity, his obsession, his delusion, his violence, is exposed to the world. As the officers shove him into the back seat, Holden locks eyes with Claire through the glass, and for the first time she sees something real, fear. Not of the law, but of losing his fantasy. Losing her. Losing control. Officers swarm the scene, documenting evidence, calling EMTs for Kyle even though Claire knows in her bones, he's already gone. She kneels beside him again, brushing her fingers along his cheek, whispering through tears, "I heard your words. I heard you. I'll never forget." Her sobs grow softer, heavier, breaking her completely. Paramedics eventually approach with solemn expressions, understanding the truth the moment they kneel beside the blood-soaked ground. Claire doesn't move. Not until they gently pull her away so they can examine the body. She cries, protests, tries to reach for him again, but her legs give out and she collapses. An officer helps her sit, speaking gently, but Claire barely hears anything. Her entire world ended the moment Kyle's final words slipped from his lips. Meanwhile, Holden sits in the patrol car, panting heavily, sweat dripping from his forehead, the reality of what he's done finally beginning to sink in now that the adrenaline is gone. His eyes dart frantically as officers tape off the area. He can hear the paramedics, he can see Claire's shaking figure in the distance, and for the first time, he realizes the truth he refused to face: Claire will never be his. She never was. His delusion is shattered. His fantasy crushed. His secret identity, whatever twisted lies he built around himself, obliterated by the undeniable truth of what he's done. Kyle Abbott is dead. Claire is devastated. And Holden, the man who once smiled softly, who spoke gently, who pretended to care, is exposed as a murderer. As the patrol car pulls away, Claire watches with trembling rage. Her grief is raw, violent, consuming, but beneath it is a growing fire. A determination. A promise. Kyle's death will not be in vain. Holden will pay. He will face justice. And she will never forget the 5 words that changed everything: Claire. I love you, always. The world becomes a blur as paramedics load Kyle's lifeless body onto the stretcher, Claire stumbling after them, her hands stained with his blood, her ears still ringing with the 5 final words that have shattered her soul. Claire. I love you, always. They echo in her chest like a heartbeat that isn't hers. She thought those were his last words on earth. She thought she watched him die. She thought she watched the light leave his eyes. As the ambulance doors slam shut, Claire collapses inside, clutching Kyle's cold hand, begging him to come back, whispering that she's here, that she's not letting him go. The paramedics work furiously, oxygen mask on, hands pumping his chest, needles stabbing into his arm. Claire doesn't even understand half of what they're saying. She only hears fragments. No pulse. Massive blood loss. We're losing him. She sobs harder, her forehead pressed to Kyle's as sirens scream above their heads. For a moment, everything stops, her heart, her breath, the world, because the monitor goes flat. A long, unforgiving beep fills the ambulance. He's gone, one paramedic whispers. Claire screams, grabbing Kyle's shirt, pulling him toward her. But then, miraculously, another paramedic shouts, wait, he's still trying. A flicker. A tiny electrical wave. A whisper of life. They shock him again. And again. His body jerks violently beneath the paddles. Claire's entire world hangs on that fragile monitor line until, suddenly, it jumps. Faint. Weak. But there. We have a pulse. Claire collapses in sobbing relief, her hands shaking uncontrollably as she presses her forehead against Kyle's. Don't you dare leave me, she whispers. You told me you love me. So don't you die. Back in Genoa City, word travels faster than the ambulance. Police scanner alerts. Social media whispers. A frantic call from a witness. Within minutes, the Abbott family is ripped from their lives and thrown into chaos. Jack answers before the first ring is even complete, his blood running cold as he hears the words no parent should hear. Jack, it's Kyle. He's been stabbed. Diane drops to her knees, a strangled scream tearing from her chest as Jack scrambles to help her up. Summer, across town, nearly collapses in front of Harrison as she gets the same call. Harrison's small voice trembles, Mommy, what's wrong? She tries to hide the panic, but she can't. She can't breathe. She can't move. She whispers, Your daddy, something happened. And Harrison's face falls, because he already sensed something was wrong hours earlier, when he told Claire he had a bad dream. He begins to cry immediately, asking over and over, Daddy's hurt? Daddy's hurt? Summer scoops him into her arms and bolts toward the car, but she's shaking so badly she drops the keys twice before she can even unlock the door. At Memorial Hospital, chaos breaks loose as the paramedics crash through the ER doors. Doctors swarm Kyle's stretcher, shouting orders. Claire follows, but a nurse stops her. Ma'am, you can't go back, Claire shoves past her, practically hysterical. He loves me, she screams without thinking, her voice cracking. Let me stay with him. They pull her away as the ER doors slam shut in her face. She collapses against the wall, sobbing violently, Kyle's blood still drying on her hands. A doctor runs past her, shouting, "Typo negative, stat." Another yells, "We need surgical prep now." Claire covers her mouth, trembling so hard she can barely stay upright. When Jack, Diane, Summer, and Harrison rush inside moments later, they find Claire on the floor curling into herself, shaking uncontrollably. Harrison breaks from Summer's arms and runs straight to Claire, crying, "Where's Daddy?" His little hands pull at her shirt, his tears falling onto her knees. Claire can barely breathe as she pulls him close, whispering, "They're trying to help him, sweetheart. They're trying so hard." Summer, pale and terrified, drops beside them, grabbing Claire's face. "Is he alive? Tell me he's alive." Claire sobs, "He was gone. I thought he died. But they got his pulse back. He's in surgery." Jack places a trembling hand on the wall, closing his eyes, fighting a wave of nausea. Diane starts praying under her breath, unable to stand still. A nurse appears, asking who is family, and they all shout at once, "We are." Meanwhile, at the police station, Holden is dragged into an interrogation room still screaming about Destiny, ripping at the cuffs, his eyes glowing with unhinged rage. Blood dries along his wrists. His breath is erratic. This is not the calm, gentle man he pretended to be. This is the real Holden, obsessive, delusional, violent. Detective Chance Chancellor enters, stone-faced, disgust written in every hard line of his jaw. He throws pictures of Kyle's blood-soaked body onto the table. "This is what love looks like to you?" Holden smiles, actually smiles, and whispers, "Claire is mine." She knows now. Chance slams his hand on the table. "You stabbed an unarmed man." Holden's eyes darken, and he murmurs, "He took what belonged to me." Chance stares at him, horrified. "You're sick." Holden leans back, exhaling through a grin. "I'm not sick. I'm chosen." Chance leaves the room with a chill crawling up his spine. He's seen killers before, but never one this controlled in their madness. Back at the hospital, Claire sits between Jack and Summer, holding Harrison against her chest, whispering to him that Daddy is strong, Daddy is brave, Daddy is fighting. Harrison sobs harder, begging, "Tell Daddy I love him. Tell him." Claire squeezes him tighter, tears streaming down her face. "I will. I promise." Diane begins pacing back and forth, hands trembling. Jack stands stiff as a statue, fighting his own breakdown. "This is my fault," he whispers through clenched teeth. "I should have protected him." Summer shakes her head violently. "No. No one could have predicted Holden was a psycho." Claire closes her eyes, fighting a fresh wave of grief and guilt. "I should have seen it. I should have known." Summer turns to her sharply. "Don't. He fooled all of us." After nearly an hour of agonizing silence, a surgeon finally steps into the waiting room. His face is grave, too grave. Claire's heart nearly explodes from fear. Kyle lost a dangerous amount of blood. His heart stopped twice on the table. Harrison screams, "No," and buries his face in Claire's neck. The surgeon continues, "We are doing everything we can. He is still in critical condition. He is still fighting." Claire bursts into sobs of relief, gripping Harrison and Summer at the same time. Diane hugs Jack tightly, crying into his shoulder. Claire whispers, "He heard me. He heard me telling him to stay. He didn't give up." Meanwhile, in the interrogation room, Holden's facade finally cracks when an officer enters and says, "Kyle Abbott made it out of surgery. He's alive." Holden's head snaps up so violently it looks like it might break. "No," he whispers. "No, that's impossible. He died. I saw him die." The officer smirks. "Guess you failed." Holden slams his fists against the table, screaming, "No. No. No. He was supposed to die. She was supposed to be mine." His rage is volcanic, his delusion shattering like glass. Two officers restrain him as he thrashes violently. For the first time, true panic floods his eyes, not because he's going to prison, but because his fantasy has collapsed into dust. Claire will never belong to him. Kyle is alive. And Holden lost. Back at the hospital, Claire refuses to sit. She stands in front of the ICU doors for nearly an hour straight, staring through the small window where she can see Kyle, pale, motionless, hooked to machines. A ventilator breathes for him. And 4 pumps blood into his body. Monitors beep steadily, each sound a reminder that Kyle is not gone. When a nurse finally allows one person in at a time, Claire is the first to step through. The world slows as she approaches his bed, tears running down her face uncontrollably. She takes his hand gently, pressing her forehead against their joined fingers. "Kyle," she whispers through trembling lips. "I heard you. I heard your words. And I'm not leaving you. Ever." Jack waits outside, wiping a tear from his cheek as he overhears Claire's broken voice. Summer collapses into a chair, shaking uncontrollably. Harrison draws pictures on a piece of paper the hospital gave him, scribbles of him holding hands with Daddy. Diane prays harder than she ever has in her life. And somewhere across town, Holden begins to realize the truth. Kyle Abbott survived. Claire knows who Holden truly is. And his twisted fantasy has ended forever. But the war is only beginning. Claire stands at Kyle's bedside long after her legs go numb, her hand never leaving his.